It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce our first student storyteller, Genna Watson. Genna is a senior majoring in comparative history of ideas. She's been a recipient of both the Mary Gates Leadership Scholarship and the Monroe Public Service Fellowship for her extraordinary leadership in creating a safe and welcoming community for queer and trans young people in Seattle. Please welcome me please join me in welcoming Genna to share her story.
Hi everyone. So looking around at our liberal, green, open-minded city, it's easy to believe that Seattle is a haven for people of every sexual orientation and gender identity. But that's not always the case for queer and transgender youth. Let's start with some facts. According to the Seattle Teen Health Risk Survey, 1/3 of Seattle high school students that identify as LGBT report experiencing physical violence at school because of their sexual orientation. Homelessness service providers in Seattle estimate that almost 1/3 of homeless youth in the city identify as gay, lesbian, or bisexual. Nationally, the Department of Health and Human Services lists suicide as the leading cause of death for gay and lesbian youth. The gay rights movement has major traction in the United States right now as more states legalize gay marriage. But as a queer young person, I've always had a hard time seeing how I fit into that national narrative. For me and my peers, marriage is the last thing on our minds as we navigated finding accepting friends at school and living in homes that might not embrace our identities. At best, we were told to wait until we were older for things to get better, but me and my friends got tired of waiting. In 2009, I joined a diverse and driven group of queer young people who had come together to start an organization we called Queer Youth Space. Together, we planned to create temporary spaces around Seattle, like dances, dinners, and open mics, where queer youth from all across the city could come together to find a community. With every event we put on, the necessity of what we were doing became clearer. For me personally, Queer Youth Space events became the places I felt safest and most loved, and many other youth said the same. After a year, we decided to aim even bigger and try to open a permanent space, a community center on Capitol Hill. To fund this project, we took on the massive task of applying for a large project grant from the Seattle Department of Neighborhoods. Our final grant application, written entirely by youth meeting in coffee houses and parks, ended up being almost 100 pages long. 2 months later, we learned that we'd been awarded $100,000 to open the space of our dreams. In that moment, winning that grant money seemed like the ultimate victory. Now I understand that that money was only the beginning. Since receiving that grant, Queer Youth Space has grown into a flourishing nonprofit. Every Sunday, our 15-person board of directors, which is composed entirely of young people, meets to plan upcoming events and prepare for opening our Community Activism Center early this summer. Sometimes what we're doing feels crazy. I've spent hours hunched over nonprofit insurance applications, slowly decoding the legalese and trying to figure out how to fit our non-traditional organization into the expectations of distant adults who often misunderstand the work we're doing. But I know these hours of frustration and backache will be worth it the moment a queer young person I've never met before steps into the space we've created and feels like they're home. For me personally, Queer Youth Space has become everything to me. My job, my best friends, and my sanity. I spend every week waiting with anticipation for our board meetings, where I know I'm understood as an individual, but also part of something much bigger. I have been especially touched by all the community members, young and old, who've come forward to support Queer Youth Space in our work. The scholarships I've received from the Mary Gates Endowment and the Carlson Center have allowed me to cut my hours at my other job and focus on doing what I love. In my eyes, the beauty of Queer Youth Space is that our goal of creating a community center for queer youth is revolutionary, but our process for creating it is revolutionary as well. This isn't adults creating something they hope will appeal to teens. This is young people coming together and saying, this is what we need and we have the power to build it ourselves. Thanks to Queer Youth Space, these youth will have a place to build community, then speak out to the public about their experiences. Queer young people are more than a shocking set of statistics on the desk of a public official, and I am here to prove that. Thank you.